I still remember the exact moment my heart cracked. Not broke, cracked. Because broken things shatter all at once. But a crack grows slowly, silently, until one day you realize the whole structure is about to collapse. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. I was standing in the lobby of a 5-star hotel in the heart of the city. The marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Everything smelled like expensive perfume and fresh roses. I had cleaned floors like that once, scrubbed them on my knees until my hands bled. But that day, I wasn't there to clean. I was there to meet my son. My son who I hadn't seen in 3 months. My son who had moved to this city with his wife and my 2 grandchildren. My son who had promised me, "Ma, once we settle down, you'll live with us. I'll take care of you." I believed him. I always believed him. I wore my best sari that day, the one I had saved for special occasions. It was old, but clean, freshly ironed. I even wore a little bindi. I wanted to look good. I wanted him to be proud. I walked into that hotel lobby with my heart beating fast, my hands trembling with excitement. And then I saw her, my daughter-in-law. She was standing near the reception desk, talking to a young woman in a crisp uniform. My daughter-in-law looked stunning. Designer handbag, high heels, hair styled perfectly. She looked like she belonged there. I smiled. I started walking toward her, and that's when I heard it. "Don't talk to the old lady," she said to the receptionist, her voice sharp and cold. "She's just the cleaner." I froze. My feet stopped moving. My breath stopped. The receptionist glanced at me, confused. My daughter-in-law didn't even look in my direction. She turned and walked toward the elevator, her heels clicking against the marble. I stood there, in the middle of that gleaming lobby, invisible. My name is Savitri Devi. I am 71 years old. I have lived a life that no one writes stories about, a life that no one celebrates, a life spent in the shadows of other people's dreams. I was born in a small village in Uttar Pradesh. My father was a farmer. My mother died when I was 8 years old from fever. I was married at 16 to a man I had never met. His name was Ramesh. He was a good man, a simple man, but life was not kind to us. We had one son, Arjun. He was everything to me. When Arjun was 5 years old, Ramesh got sick. The doctors said it was his lungs. We didn't have money for treatment. We barely had money for food. Ramesh died within 8 months. I was 23 years old, a widow with a small child, and no one to help me. My in-laws blamed me. They said I brought bad luck. They threw me out of the house. I went back to my father, but he was old and struggling himself. He gave me a corner in his hut, but nothing more. So I did the only thing I could do. I worked. I cleaned houses in nearby towns. I washed clothes by the river until my hands cracked and bled. I worked in the fields during harvest season. I carried bricks at construction sites. I did anything that would feed my son. Arjun never went to bed hungry, not once. Even if I had to skip meals for 3 days straight. Even if I had to beg outside the temple. He never knew. I made sure of that. When Arjun turned 10, I heard about a wealthy family in Delhi who needed a live-in maid. They said they would pay 1,500 rupees a month. They said I could bring my son if he stayed quiet and didn't disturb anyone. I took the job immediately. We moved to Delhi. For the first time, Arjun slept in a real bed. He had clean clothes. He had food every day. I worked in that house for 14 years. I woke up at 4 a.m. every morning. I cleaned, I cooked, I washed, I ironed. I took care of their children while raising my own in the servant quarter at the back of the house. And every single rupee I earned, I saved for Arjun's education. I put him in a government school first. Then I worked extra jobs at night so I could afford a better private school. When he finished school, I sold the little gold I had, my Mongol Sutra, my earrings, so he could go to college. He studied engineering. He was brilliant, top of his class. When he graduated, he got a job at a big IT company. His salary was more in 1 month than I had earned in a year. I cried that day, not from sadness, from relief. I thought, finally, my son will have the life I never had. Then he met Priya. She was beautiful, educated, from a well-to-do family. She worked in a bank. She spoke English fluently. She wore Western clothes and high heels. I was happy for him. I thought, she will make him happy. She will give him the life he deserves. They got married in a grand ceremony. I gave them everything I had saved over the years, my entire life's earnings. I paid for part of the wedding. I gave them my blessings with trembling hands, and I thought that was enough. But it wasn't.
After the wedding, Arjun and Priya moved to Bangalore. They rented a nice apartment. They had good jobs. Their life looked perfect from the outside. I stayed back in Delhi, still working as a maid in the same house. I didn't mind. I didn't want to be a burden on my son's new life, but I missed him every single day. I called him once a week. Sometimes he picked up, most times he didn't. When he did, the conversations were short. Ma, I'm busy right now. Ma, I'll call you back later. Ma, Priya and I are going out. Can we talk tomorrow? Tomorrow never came. Still, I didn't complain. I told myself, he's working hard. He's building his career. He's happy. That's all that matters. 2 years passed. Then 3. He didn't visit. Not once. I didn't visit either. I couldn't afford the train ticket, and I didn't want to ask him for money. I thought maybe he was saving up, planning something big for us. Then one day, I got a call. It was Arjun. Ma, good news. Priya is pregnant. I cried. I was going to be a grandmother. 9 months later, they had a baby girl. They named her Anya. I wanted to go see her, hold her, bless her. But Arjun said, Ma, not right now. Priya needs rest. The baby's too small. Maybe in a few months. Months turned into a year, then 2 years. I had never even seen my granddaughter's face except in photos he sometimes sent on WhatsApp. Then they had a second child, a boy, Arav. And still, I hadn't met them. I started feeling a strange ache in my chest. Not physical pain, something deeper. It was loneliness. But I pushed it down. I told myself, they're busy. They have their own life now. Then one afternoon, Arjun called again. Ma, we've been thinking. You've been alone for so long. Why don't you come stay with us for a while? The kids should know their grandmother. I couldn't believe it. My hands shook as I held the phone. Are you sure, beta? I don't want to trouble Priya. No trouble, Ma. She's the one who suggested it. Come next week. I cried the entire night, happy tears. I thought my son still loved me. I thought I still mattered.
I took the train to Bangalore with just one small bag. I didn't have much to bring. When I arrived at the station, Priya was there to pick me up in their car. She looked even more beautiful than I remembered. She smiled at me. She hugged me lightly. Welcome, Ma. The kids are excited to meet you. We drove to their apartment. It was in a big society with gates, guards, and tall buildings. Their flat was on the 8th floor. It had 2 bedrooms, a large living room, and a balcony. It was beautiful. When I stepped inside, 2 small children ran toward me. Anya, the elder one, was 4 years old. Arav was 2. They stared at me with wide, curious eyes. Kids, this is your Dottie, Priya said. Anya smiled shyly. Hello, Dottie. My heart melted. I bent down and kissed her forehead. That night, Arjun came home from work. He hugged me. He asked about my health. He seemed genuinely happy to see me. For the first time in years, I felt like I belonged somewhere. But that feeling didn't last long.
The first few days were good. I played with the kids. I told him stories. I cooked food for everyone. Priya smiled and thanked me. Arjun seemed happy. But slowly, things started to change. Priya stopped eating the food I cooked. She said it was too oily or too spicy. She started ordering food from outside or cooking separately for herself and Arjun. I didn't say anything. Then one morning Priya asked me, "Ma, can you help me with the dishes? The maid didn't come today." I said, "Of course, beta." I washed the dishes. The next day she asked me to mop the floor, then to fold the laundry, then to clean the bathrooms. Slowly, quietly, I became the maid of the house. I didn't mind the work. I had worked my whole life. But what hurt was the way she asked. Not with love, not with respect, but with expectation. As if that's all I was there for. Arjun never noticed. He left early for work and came home late. When he was home, he was on his phone or laptop. He barely spoke to me. One evening I tried to talk to him. "Beta, how is your work?" "Good, ma." "Are you happy?" "Yes, ma." "Do you need anything?" "No, ma." And then he went back to his phone. I felt invisible, even when I was sitting right in front of him.
3 months after I arrived, Priya told me, "Ma, we're going to a family function at a hotel this Saturday. It's Arjun's colleague's daughter's wedding. You should come too." I was surprised. "Are you sure?" "I don't want to." "It's fine, you're family, come." I was happy. I thought maybe things were getting better. I wore my best sari, the one I had saved. I combed my hair neatly. I even put on a little bindi. When we reached the hotel, Priya told me, "Ma, why don't you wait in the lobby? We'll register first and then come get you." I said okay. I sat on a chair near the reception. The lobby was grand, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, soft music playing. I felt out of place, but I tried to sit with dignity. After 10 minutes, I saw Priya talking to the receptionist. I stood up and started walking toward her. That's when I heard it. "Don't talk to the old lady," Priya said, her voice low but sharp. "She's just the cleaner. She's not with us." The receptionist looked confused. She glanced at me. Priya didn't even turn around. My feet stopped. My heart stopped. I stood there, frozen. The receptionist awkwardly looked away. Priya walked toward the elevator. I turned around, and I walked out of the hotel. No one stopped me. No one even noticed I was gone. I walked for 2 hours that day. I didn't know where I was going. I just walked. My feet hurt. My heart hurt more. I kept replaying her words in my head. She's just the cleaner. Not, she's my husband's mother. Not, she's my husband's mother. Just the cleaner. When I finally returned to the apartment, it was late evening. Priya opened the door. "Where were you, Ma? We looked everywhere," she said, sounding annoyed. Not worried. Annoyed. I didn't answer. I went to my room, the small guest room where I slept on a thin mattress on the floor, and I closed the door. That night, I cried. Not loudly, quietly, into my pillow, so no one would hear. The next morning, I decided something. I couldn't stay here anymore, but I also couldn't leave without talking to my son. I waited until Arjun came home that evening. Priya was in the kitchen. The kids were watching TV. I sat across from Arjun. "Beta, go back where?" "To Delhi. I don't think I should stay here anymore." "Why? Did something happen?" I took a deep breath. "Do you know what your wife said about me at the hotel last week?" He frowned. "What are you talking about?" I told him. Everything. His face went blank. Then he sighed. "Ma, you're overreacting. Priya didn't mean it like that. She was probably stressed." "She called me the cleaner, Arjun." "So? You're taking it the wrong way." "Am I?" He looked uncomfortable. "Ma, listen, you've been here for 3 months. You haven't adjusted. You don't understand how things work here. Priya is modern. She has her own way of talking. You're from a village. You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said quietly. He looked at me, and for the first time I saw it. He wasn't defending me. He was defending her, because somewhere along the way, I had become the outsider in my own son's life. I left the next morning. I didn't make a scene. I didn't cry in front of them. I simply packed my small bag, touched the children's heads one last time, and walked out. Arjun tried to stop me at the door. "Ma, don't be like this. Stay a few more days. We'll figure it out." I looked at him. My son, the boy I had raised with my blood, sweat, and tears, and I said, "I gave you everything I had, Betha. I gave you my youth, my health, my life. I never asked you for anything in return, but I thought you'd at least let me keep my dignity." His eyes filled with tears, but he didn't stop me. I walked out. I went back to Delhi. I went back to the same house where I had worked for 14 years. The family welcomed me back. They needed help, and I needed work. Life went on, but something inside me had changed. I was no longer waiting for my son to call. I was no longer hoping. Then, 6 months later, I got a call from an unknown number. "Is this Savitri Devi?" "Yes." "This is Dr. Mehra from Bangalore City Hospital. Your son, Arjun, has been in an accident. He's in critical condition. You need to come immediately." My world stopped. I took the next train. When I reached the hospital, Priya was sitting outside the ICU, crying. The kids were with her mother. I walked up to her. She looked up at me, her face swollen from crying. "Ma, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have. I didn't say anything. I went inside. Arjun was unconscious, tubes everywhere. I held his hand, and I prayed. For 3 days, I sat by his side. Priya came and went, but I stayed. On the 4th day, he opened his eyes. "Ma," he whispered. I squeezed his hand. He cried. "I'm sorry, Ma. I failed you. I let her treat you like that. I should have stopped her. I should have—" "Shh," I said. "Rest now." He held my hand tighter. "Don't leave me." And I didn't. Arjun recovered slowly. During those weeks in the hospital, something shifted. Priya saw how I cared for him, how I sacrificed sleep, food, comfort, just like I always had. She saw what real love looked like. One evening she came to me. "Ma, I need to apologize. I was wrong. I was cruel. I was so focused on fitting into this new life that I forgot what really matters. You gave everything for him, and I took you for granted." I looked at her. She was crying. Real tears. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said, "but I want to try. I want to be better." I didn't say anything for a long moment. Then I said, "I'm not asking for much, beta. Just respect, just dignity. That's all any mother wants." She nodded, and slowly, over time, things changed. She started asking for my opinion. She started cooking with me. She started treating me like family. And Arjun, he became the son I once knew. Not perfect, but present. I'm 72 years old now. I still live with them, but now I live with respect. I've learned something important in this life. People will only value you as much as you value yourself. For years, I believed that sacrifice meant erasing yourself for others, that love meant accepting anything. But that's not love. That's slavery. Real love has boundaries. Real love has dignity. You can give everything to your children and still lose yourself. But if you hold on to who you are, if you stand firm in your worth, they will see it too. I'm not just a mother. I'm not just a cleaner. I'm Savitri Devi, a woman who survived, a woman who raised a son against all odds, a woman who deserves respect. And so do you. Never let anyone, not even your own children, make you feel invisible, because you are not invisible. You are the foundation. You are the roots. And without roots, no tree can stand tall. Remember that, always. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Share it with your mother, your grandmother, your aunt. Share it with anyone who has ever felt invisible. Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is remind someone you matter. You are seen. You are loved. Hit that share button, spread the message. Let's honor every mother who gave everything and asked for nothing. Because every mother deserves respect. Every mother deserves dignity. Every mother deserves to be seen.